Welcome back, everybody. It's Rama from Junk Journal Divas. Hello, my friends. It's Rama, and I am back. Today, I want to work on this kit. This is from Citrus Journal Studio. I've got the link in my video description. But this kit is, I want to say like $1 something. They're very, very inexpensive, great prices, and there's just so many things you can do with them. I made one this style for Halloween, and it was just a lot of fun. Now I'm going to show it to you. I did not put any of the pockets or anything on. So the way that it comes, there is this part, and this would glue on here. Actually, we can go ahead and do that now, so that you create a pocket. So we can do that. These kits are just a lot of fun because it also just gives you ideas for constructing, you know, if you want to make your own not using a kit. Okay, so we've got that. So this, oops, there's a cover, and this is supposed to go onto the cover, and you glue the 3 sides so it creates another pocket here. And then now the cover that it comes with, I did not print double-sided, because even if I used it this way, I would end up making this thicker to be a cover. So I just left it as is. But I'm going to take this out for now because, of course, I wanted to kind of just play with it and put my own spin on it and turn this into a larger journal. I glued the pages together like this. So this is 1 page and then 1 page, and I glued them together. So you can put a tag here to stick out. Now there's a whole bunch of pockets and stuff to play around with, and I just really liked this style because I like to decorate the page, kind of like my tag books. So on the back of this one, there's a large pocket, and then this one, pocket here. And then I made this pocket a side entry instead of the top. Another pocket here, this pretty paper, and then pocket at the top, and then here, and then a side one. So my idea was to put some of my dyed papers in here. So I was thinking, and not a lot, I just have 2 pages. I cut them to size. I cut them down so that they fit in here. So I thought I would do red, do some coffee dye, some green, and then more of the coffee dye. Okay. So this was my idea of what I wanted to do. Now also, to make it really easy for binding this into a journal, what I'm going to do is take each little signature here, and I am just going to sew down the center. And in order to do that, what I do is the center page, I just ink down that crease, and then that kind of gives me a visual of where to sew. Makes it a lot easier. Like that, so then I know where to sew. So this is what I'm going to do first, and I'm thinking about using some, I don't know what, some mediums, maybe with a stencil kind of on this outside part, just to kind of decorate a little bit. Not on all of the pages. I want to leave some for the person I'm making it for, so I might just do the outside page here of each one. So let's get started with that. I'm going to use my, because this kind of looks like snowflakes. I could also do some stars. I think I'll do this one. And I think I'm going to use some crackle paste. I haven't used this in a little while. And you guys, as always, I have YANETTE, where I buy all of my Ranger and Tim Holtz products. I have her link in my video description. I like to support my crafty friends when I can. All right, so let's do some crackle here. I guess that's quite a bit. I just want to do a little bit. Let me just put down some brown paper to work on here. I kind of just want to do some along the edge. Maybe we'll do a little bit on the bottom. There we go. So I'm gonna have to put this aside and let this dry. And I've got my thing of glitter here. Let's just sprinkle some on. Let's see what happens. Maybe on the very corners. See if we like that. Oh, I think I'm gonna like that. That looks pretty, huh? And I just have this sitting out for the season to just kind of dump on my projects when I want to. Okay, and then when I am done with the medium, take a little, this press and seal plastic wrap, and I just kind of start on one side, press it down in there. You want it to kind of go down in there. There we go. That'll be nice and tight so we don't get it to, doesn't dry out on us. Okay, now let's try some translucent texture paste maybe. Let's try that. And I'm going to use this part of the stencil, the kind of plaid look. For my other pages, since they are just coffee or tea dyed, I'm going to put some color. So I'm going to use some astropaste, and let's do some stars or something on them. And see, it looks kind of pinkish, but this is what it looks like when it dries. So the astropaste is kind of glue with a whole bunch of glitter in it. So once it dries, that glitter is really, really bright, really pops. Like you can see the green here. Okay, so we've got those aside drying. Now these are the large tags that we are going to use, and I might want to add some pizzazz to them. I did back them with my dyed paper. Let's add something to this guy. So for my cover, I cut apart the kit cover. And so I glued those pieces onto some chipboard. So I've got a front cover panel, a back cover panel, and then I also have one for the spine. So all I'm doing here, I'm just going around the edge and putting some of my lunar paste on to give it that metallic look. I love the lunar paste because it dries really fast, just so easy to work with. And then I'm taking this piece of upholstery fabric, and really easy, I'm basically just going to glue my panels down onto the fabric. And then you can see the middle section here. Now I have a piece of chipboard that is 1/4 of an inch, and I lay that in between my panels to give me that little bit of space. So you'll see that also. And then I'm going to put my tie closure down first. So to hold it in place, I'm just using a piece of my sticky tape, and I'll lay that down, and then my panels will go on top of this. And I'm using my 3-in-1 glue and just making sure that's really glued up, going along the edges, and then I always kind of go over it with my finger just to make sure all the glue's spread out evenly. And then I'm just going to lay these down. Now after I get all of my panels down, I put a really heavy book on top of it and let it sit for several hours. And then I cut the excess fabric from along the edges, and I did some sewing around each of those panels. So it's really nice and sturdy. And of course we've got that thick upholstery fabric. So this is just a different way to do your journal covers. Okay guys, I am back with my flip through. So I love the way that she turned out here. Very happy with her. This is my 1.5 inch spine. I used my chipboard. So when I put my outside panels on, I went around these edges and I sewed them on. This is the back. So I used the cover that was in the kit. I just made a different spine piece and I cut them apart. And it has movement because of the panels just being put on this upholstery fabric. But it's really nice and sturdy, and I actually like this because it lays flat. So it's just a different way to do your journals. And here's my tie closure that I put underneath before I put the panels down. I used some of my embellished white sari. I've got this in my shop. I love this stuff. Okay, so looking at the front here, we've got this pocket. I just put these guys in. I backed everything, as always. So this slides in the pocket there. Put some jingle bells on here. So this opens this way. I did a Velcro closure. Put some of my embellishments from my sari Christmas bundle. This little guy. So we open up, get a little tag here, and some goodies down in there. And then the let's open her up here. And you guys, let me explain how I did my spine here. So this red piece, all I did was take a piece of paper, and usually I'll fold it in half because that makes it really easy to see, you know, where the center is. And then if you fold it this way, you've also got the middle of it. And then from there, it makes it a lot easier to mark, you know, where you want your signatures. Since I'm showing you, I'm just going to ink them. That way you can see. Okay, and then usually what I do is I'll come down maybe like 1/4 of an inch. So let's just say this is 1/4 of an inch. So I've got this template, and I've got 4 signatures. So then all I'll do is just kind of mark my holes going across here. Can kind of make sure they're a little more straight. But then I poke my holes. I put this on top of some thicker paper. I think I used some watercolor paper. So I glued this on there, and then I poked my holes and I sewed my 4 signatures in, and then I glued this panel down. I clipped it everywhere, and I just left that for several hours. I mean, it was overnight, so I just left that to make sure it was really nice and dry. And same thing with my panels. I put my panels down, put a really heavy book on top of it, and just left it for a while. So on the cover, I just put this little tag in here, and I glued a pocket. So to put the pockets onto this upholstery fabric, now I could have put a panel, you know, of paper here, but I just used my hot glue gun or double-sided sticky tape with some glue, and it's on there just fine. So I've got that tag. Our first page here, got a tag, put a bunch of embellishment pieces from my Sorry kit. Little pocket. And then this is the paper that we did the crackle paste. And let me just hold this up a little bit. So if you remember, I did the crackle paste, and I also added a little bit of glitter on top of that. And I really like the way that came out. So we've got our red pages. I was going to do some stamping, but I thought, no, because I want to leave some space for the person who receives it to do things they want. I used lots of die cuts that I have. One of my Diva sisters that she sent me, Kristen Hagee. So thank you, Kristen, because I used a lot of those in this journal. Then there's this little pocket here, corner pocket. Santa, please stop here. And also this tag. My paper dolls. I have these in my shop also. And then here, got our tag. We put the astropaste with glitter, so you can see that. Tuck that back down in there. More of the die cuts. We've got this tag. It's my linen paper. And then here's also where we put some of that astropaste. Blank pages. And then here, one of my paper dolls with a little ticket guy. Okay, and then this page, we've got one of our side pockets with some mesh that I put here. Again, some astropaste. And then our tag on this side. Now these tags, they're kind of mix and match from various kits that were in the bundle. So I don't know if all these tags, like I know this is separate. This was not in the kit. So so I just kind of mixed them up. Then this is our page that we put the, this is the translucent texture paste. And this is nice, it just feels kind of cool, adds a little bit of interest to your page there. And then I put some die cuts. So we've got our green pages. Another one of my paper dolls on the nice list since 1992. And this page, Peace on Earth, lots of die cut pieces here. And then this is the one with the red astropaste. Then we have our tag here. More of our red astropaste here in our pages. And then the last one, another paper doll. Here's our tag. Did the astropaste with that plaid looking design. And I like this white stuff that I put in the hole. This was in my texture pack. I actually don't have any more of those in my shop. I'll have to work on that and get some more in there. And then I just put this tag on the back with a pocket. So that is my journal. So this is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for some more crafty adventures.